Almost everyone in Westeros gets Sandor Clegane wrong. Sansa sees a beast, Arya sees a companion, Joffrey a tool, and fans often see a misunderstood anti-hero. But Sandor is none of these things because most people don't understand the Hound.
And this isn't going to just be one of those videos where people explain the backstory of a character and point out one little minute detail that might be different than the common understanding of a character and claim he's misunderstood, because everybody that watches those videos immediately realizes, I understood everything about this, including the explanation I just got prior to watching the video. It was a waste of my time. This is actually going to be a significant thing that many people miss. I would argue the entire mainstream fandom outside of this channel, and going forward when Winds of Winter finally comes out, it's really going to affect, I think, how a lot of fans view the eventual Clegane Bowl that may or may not happen. But before we start, we do have to briefly talk about the early history of his life. So let's go into that right now, the origins of House Clegane.
Sandor Clegane was born to an unnamed father at Clegane's Keep, which came into creation because of Sandor's grandfather, who was a kennel keeper for the Lannisters and ended up saving Tytos as he was being attacked by a lioness. And in doing so, the grandfather, who is unnamed, so Grandpa Clegane, lost 3 of his hounds, or his dogs, and also underrated aspect of this is he lost one of his legs. But within his sigil, he picks 3 black dogs on a yellow background as his sigil. But honestly, I think he could probably throw in a leg in there too, just to get the whole picture of everything he sacrificed to save old Titus, you know?
I think so. I mean, he's rocking the whole Lars, Shmi Skywalker's husband. He's rocking the whole Lars.
Pour one out for Lars.
Pour one out for Lars. His aura is unmatched. And, Grandpa Clegane, he did work to maintain that, and I think he should have represented on the flag. It kind of shows that he's embarrassed by it, which I don't agree with at all. I think if you have an injury like that, wear it like a badge of honor, especially how it happened. The only thing that I question about this is maybe the threat that, they saved Tytos from was so pathetic. It's like actually an embarrassment to lose your leg in this situation or to suffer any casualty at all. So maybe that's why he didn't throw it in there, because let's be honest, Tytos was... he's a little bitch, right? So I can't think highly of like a threat that was going to affect him.
Yeah, for all we know, his leg was just, the effects of his diabetes or whatever, right?
True.
Oh, yeah. This thing was about to fall off anyways. But after doing this, not only does Tytos give him the lands and the keep that would eventually be known as Clegane's Keep, but the father of Sandor then becomes the squire to Tytos. And there's a lot of unnamed people in this family tree of the Cleganes, because the father's unnamed. We don't hear anything about the mother. They have an unnamed sister who is in the footnotes, dies queerly.
She's experimenting. So what?
And then we have Gregor and Sandor, who everyone knows the story between these two. Gregor gets a toy. Sandor wants the toy. Gregor says, no, you don't get the toy. I'm going to push your face up against this fire until you let go, until I feel satisfied. And then this causes this whole face burning incident. It's traumatizing to Sandor.
Yeah, the emo hair covering the face. This is the basis for his entire character arc that we know, his entire character persona that we know. He supposedly hates his brother for this event. He hates fire for this event. He's pissy with everybody beyond this point because he might see something that reminds him of this traumatic event. We have to say, we do not exactly buy this story because I don't know if there's any verification that this story is even real. We hear Littlefinger talk about it, okay. We kind of hear Sandor himself, or Sandy, maybe it's better to call him. It's just easier.
Yeah, let's call him Sandy.
It's a little more endearing, right?
Sandy and Greg.
Sandy and Greg. It'd be a great little sitcom, right? I would like to see a sitcom interpretation of
Every episode
this.
ends with Sandy's face up against the fire.
Yeah, but I'm not saying that Greg puts it there. That's the part I'm questioning. I understand that Greg is like a really, more on the brutal side when it comes to just behavior, right? He just is. He has a loose temper. But let's not forget, Sandy also has a pretty quick temper. He's just the weaker child, so he had no way to be that assertive force, even if he wanted to be. You know what I mean? He's the littler, weaker child.
Yeah.
I don't think that they're too different, okay? I also have a lot of questions about the accusations against the Mountain. We have a video about that. Go check it out. But more when it comes to the Hound himself, I do not know if I would take the version of the backstory that we know as quote-unquote canon to be 100% fact, right? We didn't see it. There's no eyewitnesses to verify that's what happened. It's just what we're told. I mean, who's to say that he didn't accidentally fall in the fire himself, right? If the toy scenario is even how it happened, because let's not forget, his father claims that Sandy's bed just started on fire in the middle of the night because
right.
a candle fell on it. And what if that's the true story?
It's just as likely that Sandy took a little torch, brought it to his bed, put underneath the covers, like how kids do nowadays with like a flashlight. But he's doing with like a little bit of a fire, and he's like, I'm going to play with Greg's toys when he's not awake.
Right. Dude, serves him right. That's called karma, dude.
Every story we kind of get around the Cleganes, besides this one with Greg, are kind of up in the air what happened. Like I said, the unnamed sister, we don't know what happened to her. She just died queerly, whatever that means. And the father then dies in a hunting accident, which Sandy could have at any point pointed to like, hey, Greg was really behind it, but we really don't hear that at all. It's just kind of like this mystery. It's like a fill in the blank, like, hey, my brother's a cruel and ruthless person. Here are these deaths that happen around him. Can you connect the dots, everybody? He just poisons the well, Sandy does, for Greg and his life events around him.
Well, he's absolutely poisoning the well. But see, this is where I think that the whole father dying in a hunting accident situation, let's think about this. Is there another hunting accident that resulted in the death of a prominent person that Sandy was involved with? Yes, there is one. How about the death of Robert Baratheon? We're skipping ahead a little bit here. We'll go back. But Robert Baratheon dies in a hunting accident, quote unquote, or at least as a result of a hunt gone wrong. He decided that is to wrestle a boar. Sandy was along for this ride. He was with Robert. I know it was a larger group in the books, right? The show kind of portrays this like little intimate hunt with like Renly and Robert only for the most part. But Sandy was along for the ride on this hunt. And he's supposed to be this big, intimidating presence, and he failed to save the king. How incompetent can this guy be? I mean, maybe it was intentional. I'm not trying to say that Sandy is that malicious, but it cannot be ignored that we know of a time when Sandy failed to save Robert. Is it that ridiculous to think that maybe it was actually Sandy that was along for the ride when his father was hunting as well, and maybe he could have done something to save that father, and he didn't. He failed to. Or maybe he did try. Honestly, maybe he tried to and failed. And maybe that's why later on, because we know he has a pattern of freezing up from traumatic things in the past, he sees this boar thing with Robert and he just freezes. He doesn't know what to do, just like with fire, right? He sees fire, he freezes, he backs off, he runs away. I think he had something to do with his father's death, even if by inaction. And he definitely had something to do with Robert's death by inaction.
All this is to say, Sandor is a pathetic loser.
Yep.
And whatever he's telling you is probably a lie, and whatever he's doing is usually contradicting whatever he just told you or whatever kind of persona he's trying to give off. Like when we see him right away, we see him as the bully for Joffrey. He's known as Joffrey's dog. And what is he wearing? He's wearing a custom-made helmet. Does that really seem like Sandor Clegane later on, right? He makes fun of people for naming their swords, but he has a custom-made helmet.
Yeah, it's cope. When he makes fun of people for naming their swords, that is sheer cope, because he knows, he's like, I think that's more of a testing the waters kind of thing, you know what I mean? Or maybe it's a result of him having tested the waters in the past with the naming of the sword concept. Like he'd throw it around, got enough feedback from like, social cues to realize that like, okay, this thing really isn't that cool. I'm going to start taking on that as part of my persona and shitting on the concept of naming your swords. Or alternatively, there were just so many cool people around him that were naming their swords and it was a cool thing to do. And then he tried to kind of maybe throw a name out there one time and it just sucked. It was embarrassing, humiliating. And everybody gave him so much shit, he had to adopt this new thing just to try to, well, I think it's stupid anyway. Something like that, right? It's kind of, it's kind of bitchy. But I have no reason to think otherwise. Think about a real edgelord in Westeros, Darkstar. Now that's an edgelord, that's a real edgelord, right? A guy that you don't want to mess with, really. Even though the emo style,
he'll cut your ear.
He's gonna cut your ear, dude. Like you might want to shit on it a little bit, but if you interact with him a little bit, you're like, oh damn, dude, he actually kind of has the aura to back it up, like shit. I'm glad I didn't say anything now.
Yeah.
The Hound, total opposite, dude. You're every right to shit on this guy.
Yeah, because like I said earlier, he has this helmet, right? And it's based off his name. He's known as the Hound, which is this him being jealous of his brother having a badass nickname? Because Greg has the nickname, not just the Mountain that they have in the TV show. His name is the Mountain That Rides.
It's so cool, dude.
A mountain is intimidating. Now, you can avoid a mountain, but if a mountain's on horseback,
good luck.
Yo.
Good luck.
Yeah. Rest in piss.
Oh, dude. It's like imagining driving on a county road that's 2 lanes wide, right? 2 lanes wide and the shoulder, and you like kind of going over a hill that's approaching, and you just hear like and you see a semi-truck come over the hill, and it's taking up both lanes in the road. It's like double wide, double tall.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, dude, unstoppable. Yep. What are you going to do? It's unstoppable. That's how I see Greg. That's like the intimidating force coming toward me. And let's not forget, dude, not just the Mountain That Rides, but he also has his own little militia the Mountain's Men, even that just sounds cool. You know what I mean? The Mountain's Men.
Yeah.
It's not like the Mountain Men. It's like a slight, I don't even know if you call that a pun on Mountain Men, but the Mountain's Men is just so intimidating because you know who's leading the charge.
I'm known as the Hound. Okay, cool. Whatever you say.
Is that a reference to the 3 dogs that died? Like, is that what that's a reference to? I don't know.
Well, I'm saying, like, then he has to get the helmet, and then everyone goes, oh, I get it. You're just totally committing to this thing, huh? Okay, whatever. But then, we get these weird glimpses into potentially what his character is about. He makes fun of Tyrion, like the first kind of moments we see Sandy. He makes fun of his dwarfism, which is what low-hanging fruit, all pun intended.
Yeah.
It's okay, yeah, you get it. He's small. What? That's so funny. It's like those people that watch people with like dwarfism do like funny activities or wrestling. They're like, oh, get it? Because they're just smaller than us. It's like, come on, Sandor. Like, you're better than this. Or you're an edgelord. I thought you don't care about this, but he's making fun of them. And then the other part about him, before we actually get him into this actually combating against his brother, he takes down the butcher's boy, right? Micah.
Yes.
And then not only does he take him out because he's the Joffrey's dog that will listen to all of his orders, but he flexes on Ned Stark, which there's either two things. It's either it is a flex for taking down Micah because he's an all-powerful being that could have been basically the stallion that mounts the world over in Westeros, or he's a little kid and you rode him down with his horse, which I don't think any person in the world could outrun a horse. So where is this? Where is this, Gator? Make sense of this.
He ran not fast enough. It's like, dude, real cool. Dude. I know. Like, he has these low IQ attacks on people. The Tyrion thing is just ridiculous. I mean, dude, Tyrion can't help that he's short. Okay, he's making the best with what he's got. At least, you could have prevented your fucked up face. Right? You probably could have done something to prevent that. At least you weren't born with half your jaw exposed, right? But Tyrion can't prevent that he's short.
Right.
And yes, the Micah thing is ridiculous too. I mean, or like you said, maybe the Butcher's Boy is the most powerful being in A Song of Ice and Fire. We have to be seen. Winds of Winter might confirm that. So hold tight, guys. But what we can determine from this so far is that Sandy really is pathetic socially. And I don't know if you want to go into it right this second. I'll tease it right now. I think that the reason why he is this way, at least for a lot of the times that we see him, it's a lot of cope. It's a lot of cope, but it's a lot of like making up for past trauma. I think he's trying to rizz up Sansa. I think he's trying to rizz it up, and I think he's trying to get in there. And it's like, dude, listen, one, she's underage, okay? But I know it doesn't really matter in Westeros. And two, is that really your ideal woman? Dude, Sansa sucks ass, and you want to try to go for, like, she just sucks. Terrible method by which to attract these women, terrible. We'll go into that in a little bit, but I just wanted to preface it right away. It's just, the way he behaves is bad.
Yeah, I think being exposed to the fire to the face for so long maybe kind of reworked his brain, his pain receptors, where he sees this bitchy little girl and he's like, oh, dude, this is the one for me. Oh, yes,
apparently, dude.
It's really creepy in the books. What he's like talking to Sansa and being like, sing me a song, Sansa. It's weird, but in the TV show, it's not nearly, they don't really push that kind of narrative or kind of subtext, but the age range is like vastly different in the TV show. So I'm kind of glad they didn't go that way, because otherwise the Hound would have been one of those guys where you're like, hey, this guy has to introduce himself to every person in the neighborhood as soon as he moves in.
I wish they would have done that, because at least then the viewers of the show only would have like a proper impression of this guy, which is, the guy who, listen, okay, can we talk about the tournament real quick? Can we talk about the jousting tournament? Okay, I think that this thing was fixed. I think that not only is he kind of a scumbag socially, but I think that he is also somebody who manipulates betting. Okay, because we know that we know there's bets going on. We know Littlefinger's got bets going on. Loras Tyrell's got bets going on. And, it just so happens that when the Mountain is provoked to lose his temper, somebody that Sandy has already poisoned the well on through all of Westeros to hate, he provokes this guy, and then, I'm going to be big, brave, noble Sandy standing up to my evil brother.
Yeah.
And then Loras, the person who he just so happened to be defending, Loras names the Hound basically like the winner, right? With that, was he skipped the last round. It's like ridiculous. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's like, tell me that's not a fixed game. How many golden dragons were wagered in that moment behind the scenes?
That's a great theory about the sports betting aspect of this. We have another theory on our In Defense of Gregor Clegane, so if you haven't watched it, right after this, you should go see it.
Yeah, Loras is not innocent either.
Yeah, also Loras brought in a horse that was in heat and distracts Gregor's horse, right? Loras might be the biggest culprit on cooking the books, but the Hound is complicit in it.
They're working together.
Yeah, underneath the table. if the Hound was really pissed off at Greg and thought Greg is nothing but evil, he burned my face, he rapes and murders people, he probably killed his own wife, there's all these things, he killed my father, he killed my sister, like all these things that for whatever reason viewers or readers who can't read between the lines think of him also. If the Hound really thought that, why wouldn't he just let Greg kill Loras? The Greg then now is in trouble for the death of this High Lord's son, and he has to be put on trial at some point. That's indefensible. It's in the eyes of not only all these witnesses, but also all these royalty, these High Lords are there too. Like, this is the time to get Greg finally to answer for his crimes, but instead, Sandor comes in and saves the day. Why do you think that? Maybe because he's not that evil of a guy.
It's because the evidence won't hold up, and he knows it. The evidence will not hold up at trial. And what's going to happen when all of these people who everybody knows, like, oh, dude, Gregor's on trial, they're going to find people from every one of the 7 kingdoms to come up here and testify against him. First-hand accounts. What happens when they find none? What happens when they find none, or like maybe one, and it's like not any more unreasonable than what happens with like any other drunken knight, that wanders through a town, right? Like what's going to happen at that point? He knows that he'll look like an idiot, and that is ultimately, I think that is his main concern, is not looking stupid. I think it's not looking stupid. I think it's not looking like he's the social lesser. But at every point he ends up looking that way. I mean, and it's really just about attention. I mean, look when he joins the military. As soon as Gregor comes of age, basically to be heir to the legendary, illustrious House Clegane.
Clegane's keep. Ooh.
Yeah, right, dude.
They will fear anyone that comes from there.
Yeah, Clegane's keep. But Sandy deuces out right at that moment because he knows he's not going to be the center of attention anymore, or even a candidate for the center of attention at Clegane's keep. So he goes and tries to win some favor with the Lannisters. I'll fight for you. I'll be your sword. And then doesn't take like the role of knight or the position of knight, doesn't go through that. Again, trying to make himself a little bit unique to stand out. Like, I have all these accolades, but I'm not even a knight. How cool is that?
Yeah, this is the most annoying aspect of Sandy. He claims that he does not want to be a knight because he sees what a knight is, and that's his brother, and it's not that cool, and it's not all it's made up to be, kid. Like, you think all these knights are honorable and listen to their vows. They're really just dirty, disgusting people. Dude, this is so black-pilled of Sandy, and I hate it.
Yeah.
And no one, hey, listen, anyone listening right now, never take the black pill. Don't be a doomer like Sandy, because look at him. Even though he's saying he takes the black pill, he says all these things that you would say, okay, well, he should just be a lone wolf, but instead he becomes part of the institution, right? He gets appointed to the Kingsguard, but he's like, no, I don't want to take the title of sir. I don't want to be a knight. It's like a reverse Anakin, right? They, instead of not appointing Anakin to the Jedi Council, but not granting him the rank of master, Sandor gets into the Kingsguard and does not become, and refuses to become a knight.
Yes.
It's so cringe. It's screaming for attention. He's like one of those guys that would leave the party without telling anybody, and just wonder if people would notice if he went missing. Like he's probably sitting in his car. Like, I wonder if they're looking around. Like, where's Sandor? Is he around still? He didn't talk to me.
And this is the thing. He's always trying to make himself look cool. He's always trying to justify past times when he lied about a situation or half-trued the situation, right? And he's trying to add context or add philosophy to validate it. Like, a good example is when Stannis does his little fire attack, and then Sandy goes to Sansa and he's like, only cowards fight with fire, like as if that's cool, and then Sansa, I don't know, but I guarantee his reaction he was hoping for was like a little side cute smile from Sansa, maybe a little blush, but it wasn't. Right. There's no way. It was like I guess if you say so, I maybe believe you because I'm an impressionable little preteen girl. It's just so dumb. He thinks he's cool macking on this child.
Yeah, his Riz is like at -10 right now. It's awful. He tries to impress her by telling her how much he loves killing. He's not even negging her, because if he was negging her, insulting her, you could almost see oh yeah, I'm gonna put her down and eventually build her back up, and it's this whole psychological little courtship we're going through right now. No, he's just I love killing, and one day you're gonna love it when I kill. Ugh. It's like, dude, you're a freaking spaz, dude. Chill out. And then when he, like you were saying, the Battle of Blackwater, when he he sees Sansa one more time before he leaves. He's like, come with me. And she's like, no, I think actually Stannis will save me. And, she ends up being wrong and she should have gone with Sandor. But he pulls out his knife. He's like, sing a song for me. It's like, dude.
he's like this is peak incel energy, dude. Like an actual incel, right? Not fake incel. Yeah, peak incel energy who like go and simp after women, but secretly they're pissed at him or whatever. But in a moment, any incel that claims to be like anti-woman, if they even got like the slightest gleam of attention from a woman, they would be a simp, right, for that woman. That's the point I'm trying to make. And he exactly personifies that. He goes for this. I don't know if he thought he had built up the rapport with Sansa before this to like make his move. If so, that's just another level of like social unawareness. But I think that might be the case. And he goes now after just running away from Wildfire, by the way, like the most bitch move I've ever seen. Protect your king, dude. Protect your king. Protect Joffrey.
Yeah, come on.
And he runs away. And where does he run? He runs straight up to Sansa. He should have ran straight to the training area, right? To like conquer his fear, right? Set up some fire and then just go at it.
Montage.
Montage for sure. Maybe I feel differently about Sandy now. But instead he goes to this, I shouldn't say child, but he goes to this very young girl's room. And he thinks he's going to make the move and have it work. She refuses. And just like a regular incel does in real life a lot of the time, they get violent. And so he immediately tries to take this like threatening, overpowering role. It's like, dude, do you need the knife? You could snap her in two. You're physically unbelievably powerful. And she still doesn't want your ass.
Sansa is lucky that they don't go to the same school because Sandor would have been coming in the next day with a different message and different motivations.
And a bigger knife,
but yeah,
let's just say.
Well, then Sandy goes and meets up with Arya, or eventually captures her and tries to ransom her off to the Starks that were supposed to be having a nice marriage of the Tullys and Freys at the twins, but then has to double back and go over to the Vale to try to sell her off. But yeah, in the books, right, Sandor at this point in this kind of like journey, he ends up being left for dead by Arya, very similar like we see, but they don't interact with Bran. And Sandor, we learn through like Bran's, I'm pretty sure, POV, that the Hound is still at large out there. And we're like, oh, he's killing all these villagers. Turns out it's just some person with Sandor's helmet. It's not actually Sandy. So what happened was we hear from this other person that the Hound died and they buried him and he left his helmet, I guess, above the grave, and then someone took it, which this is exactly like what I said earlier with the Hound leaving the party early. He's like, I'm just going to bury a body here and put my helmet here, and I hope someone cries and notices that I'm gone, and there's a whole big like, oh, poor Sandy, and he's like waiting off, because I think the big theory is he's actually the gravedigger on the Quiet Isle. So knowing this version of Sandor, and if you can, and this is probably the most true version of Sandor we'll ever get, this has to be, he's the gravedigger, he's looking off in the distance and hopes that people come by and see his helmet, but now it got stolen, and now he's just like, I don't know, how do I get back into prominence?
I know, he's plotting his next move. Right now he's literally living like a long ass version of, if anybody's ever seen that episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm from like one of the most recent seasons, where this guy has a funeral for himself before he dies, and so his funeral is happening downstairs, and he's just sitting up in his bedroom with a video camera watching people like deliver his like in memories and his eulogy and stuff. And they all know it's happening, but it's like this unbelievable, it's disgusting. It's a gratuitous, self-centered sham, really, except in this situation, no one is actually aware that it's happening. They all think that he is truly dead. And guess what? No one cares.
Hey, thanks for watching this video. Be sure to subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and smash that like button.
Or not, we don't care.